Hello and welcome back to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm Gail Thompson. I'm so sorry. It has been a long, unplanned hiatus, but I promise to make it up to you. And this first post is a Craft Collabs Christmas gift ideas giveaway hop. And I'm going to be making a Divinity Designs timeless tote. This is what we're making, only I'm going to make a holiday one. It has darling stitching, lots of details, and so easy to make. There are lots of pieces. You don't have to use them all, and I'll show you that later, but they do have very clear instructions on how to use it. Then they have this overlay die set for extra trims and things that I will also show you in a little bit, but we won't be using those today. Well, the trims are on this. You can make different colored pockets and wallets. So let's get started. I cut a front and a back. I die cut it with my Gemini Junior, and I'm scoring it with my bone folder. You want to be kind of gentle. This paper turns white when you crease it too much. I also figured out you want to trim a little bit off that bottom panel so it fits nicely inside. The best glue for this seems to be a liquid glue, and I love the Art Glitter glue. It's very strong. You can also use score tape, but you won't have wiggle room. And the other issue is I've heard of people that had it not stick as well. But just use what you have. It's all personal preference. I just happen to like this glue. So we're going to put the front layer on the inside, and like I said, I wound up trimming off a smidge off the bottom because I hadn't trimmed it off earlier because there was a little bit of overhang and it left a little white spot. I'll show you. Now we're going to put on the sides, and the dies have everything set up beautifully. Their fold lines are all there, and there's also decorative stitch lines on all of the pieces. So you're just going to lay that down even to the edge and glue the outside of it, but place it on the inside of the tote. And then we'll repeat this to the other side. I wanted to explain that this is a giveaway hop, and every stop will be giving away the project they make, as will I. I'm going to give you a project or a tote filled with some little goodies. I hope you stop and visit everybody's stops, and you will comment on each one and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it, and I'm sure they would. So now we're gluing up the sides of the tote, and there's a little roundness to it, and so you that's why I kind of like the glue. You can kind of form it so that it has just a hair of roundness to it, and that glue dries amazingly quick. I crammed an awful lot into this because it was a hop, so we are moving along speedily. The tote probably takes about an hour to make when you allow for holding it and drying and all. But see, you bring it up and it just looks beautiful. And I trimmed off all the edges where any white showed at the end. Double-sided paper would definitely be better. I didn't think of that when I chose this, and I just went with it. But if I had it to do over again, I would use double-sided paper. So I'm finishing the last side. Just putting a little more glue on. That needle tip is really handy for getting in those little crevices. And there, I'm going to round that off again at the top. And then just hold it for a second. I hope everybody's doing great. See that white part? I cut that off, but you can just save that step by trimming off a little bit of the outside one before you glue it. Now we're making handles, and I'm just going to glue a contrasting color because I want you to be able to see the pieces, and if I did it all in red, you wouldn't really, it's hard to tell. We're going to let those dry while we make the mesh side pockets. Now, I really didn't plan on being gone this long. It's a long story, but things are going much better. Oh, and look, it makes all kinds of confetti when you die cut this. and you just want to save that and you can use it for a shaker card. Now this also rounds up, so you want to be careful to kind of, I want to say hove it up, but I'm sure that that's a Midwestern term. Just sort of bend it so that it will, and I'm so sorry, some of this is off camera. Apparently my table moved. My camera is affixed above my work table, and apparently the table moved. So I need to work on that, and I didn't really realize it. I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on the inside with whatever tool I happen to have around. This one just happens to be a embossing tool. And I started looking at that, and we're going to put on the other side, but I started looking at that and I'm thinking, I really should have used double-sided paper. The white inside shows on these pockets, and I'll show you that here in a minute once I get this glued up for you. Here we go. We're going to bend this in and hold it for just a few minutes, and then take kind of a tool to push against that glue. So I got to looking and I'm thinking, look at that. Unless you put a little gift in it, if you put a gift card in it, you wouldn't see it. But man, I see it, and I'm just a little bit particular. I suppose a lot of people wouldn't care, but I decided to make a liner for it by die cutting 2 more side panels. And now I'm just going to cut to the inside of that fold line. Actually, I'm cutting on the stitching part so that it's a little bit smaller. And then I'm just going to tuck it in and check for the height that I need. That looks better already. So I'm just going to trim it off a little bit below the green line so that you don't see this as much, at least straight on. And I'm going to add the glue and then just push it in and then just tuck it in and hold it down for a second. And I think that looks a lot better, don't you? So then we're just going to do the other side the same way. Now we're going to make the front pocket, and I'm making the accordion fold, and once again some of that was off camera, but we make 2 of those. I tried to hurry this because it's a hop and I didn't want to, take all day. So fold in the front pockets, and now we are going to glue the accordion with the V side out to each side of that front pocket. This tote has lots of little nooks and crannies. The little side pockets, the front pocket actually opens, and then of course the interior. So rinse, repeat. We're going to do it on the other side. I'm trying to save time. And here is our front pocket piece put together. Now we're going to glue this all to the front of the bag. And unfortunately, some of this is off camera. When I try to do close-ups too, it kind of eliminates some territory there. But I think you can get the idea. And I'm just going to hold that down for a couple of minutes. So now we're a little further. Here's the front flap to the pocket. Just going to glue that in. And yes, don't forget to ring that bell, and please consider subscribing. I really appreciate the time you spend with me, and I would love to get comments too, especially my drawing is international or US, it doesn't matter. The US will get the tote with some goodies. If an international person wins, I will do an electronic gift card. I don't want to leave anybody out. So now we're going to glue the handles and hold that on just for a couple of minutes. And then we're going to do the back handle. I'm amazed at how quick this glue does dry. Now I'm going to flip it around and catch the other side of the front. And rinse, repeat, the back's the same. Hold that for a second. Now it's time to do the buckle. This is all decorative, it doesn't really buckle. but you just want to fold everything around, and nice and close now, aren't we? I'm just going to glue that little, I guess it would be a catch or some kind of a holder for the clasp of the purse. And then I decided to put a brass buckle on it. You just slip that little, the little buckle part, I don't know what you call that, underneath the clasp. I'm looking how I'm going to place it first. So I glued that down, and now I'm just going to glue so it looks like it's buckled shut. And I fussy with it a little bit. All of this glue does dry clear. I did take a marker on the folded parts that you see and kind of touched it up. It worked pretty well. Now we're going to make the tassel. I'm just going to take some gold cord and wrap the tassel piece around it part way, because it's kind of easier to do it when it's not on the bag, but it's got to wind up on the bag somehow. So now I'm tucking it in, and I'm just going to continue wrapping around that. And there is this little tiny piece that's kind of the wrap for the tassel. Gives it a little finished look. Get that glued together. And now it's looking pretty good, but I can never leave well enough alone. So I added some flat disc, I can't think what they're called, confetti, to make it look like there were buttons up on the bag, up on the handles. On the left, I did a modified bag. I didn't use the pockets in the front or the sides, but it sure is cute, and I think I can whip out a bunch of those for Christmas. Don't forget to comment below before November 28th. I'm going to have a random drawing, US or international, for this little tote full of goodies. And thank you so much for visiting me. I hope you will subscribe, like, comment, and share this with your friends. Visit the DarbyCreekDiaries.com. Don't forget to go to the next hop stop. It's listed below, as are all the supplies. I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.